For Trinidad, so just for context, first of all, so Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana here's one of the world's newest oil provinces, incredibly exciting. Trinidad and Tobago is one of the world's oldest oil provinces, been in the business since the beginning of the 20th century. About 500,000 barrels a day of oil equivalent production, but 85% of that is natural gas. That natural gas goes into LNG, methanol, and ammonia. So obviously the geopolitics with the Russian invasion of Ukraine obviously created a sort of a lot of interest in Trinidad and Tobago as a major exporter of natural gas being the big thing that Europe wanted to buy, not from Russia. And also ammonia, another big export traditionally of Russia and of Ukraine. Trinidad, major exporter of, is actually the world's major exporter of ammonia. Most ammonia is not exported, it doesn't cross the border, it goes into production. Trinidad is a major exporter of ammonia, incredibly important for food. Ammonia goes into fertilizers, so that's how natural gas links to food security. So obviously the changing geopolitics created this interest in Trinidad. Trinidad has, we are in a pretty unique position because we have a lot of available capacity in our downstream part of the industry. We have an LNG train which is currently offline, we have a methanol plant offline, we have an ammonia facility offline. That's all because our upstream production has been declining. So obviously the big push for Trinidad is to increase our investment into Trinidad's upstream, increase our gas production, fill up that downstream infrastructure that we have, and make available to the world secure supplies. And Trinidad has a great reputation of being a secure supplier, really good respect to contracts. We believe in multilateralism. So all the sort of things which the international community looks for, Trinidad ticks all of those boxes. So yeah, there's been a lot of interest in Trinidad because of that geopolitics.
It's huge potential. Africa is 10% of global hydrocarbon reserves, of which 70% is actually gas. So Nigeria, over 170 trillion cubic feet of gas. Mozambique, with the big discoveries there, is close to 100 trillion cubic feet of gas discovered. Phenomenal discoveries all in the last 10 years. Angola, Algeria. And so based on shipping routes and the advantage of close proximity to Europe, African gas is certainly going to do well. But what is interesting is about the geolocation of the Caribbean is approximately 12 days shipping into the west coast of Africa. And oil products are typically very cost sensitive from the logistics side. So we've seen cargoes come from the US west coast, deliver into West Africa of refined petroleum products. So I expect to see, as Guyanese crude gets as we see increased in production, I expect to see homes for Guyanese crude and Trinidadian hydrocarbons as well on the west coast of Africa. So we're really looking forward to a bit of cross-trade between the two continents, particularly with the additional refining capacity that is being discovered or being created in West Africa, particularly in Angola and Nigeria right now. And slates of crude are necessary. It's a blend that is utilized in most refining processes and not just singular crude from one region. So they're great prospects for the future.
It's an opportunity for African and Caribbean nations with what you see happening in Ukraine, but it boils down to something very, very easy. It's going to mean, can we ramp up capacity? Can we really meet the demand? I hate to tell you, no, we cannot. Because why? We do not have the funding that goes into developing a lot of underexplored fields that are there. So you could have potential, you could have discoveries, but if you cannot ramp it up and bring that gas, then you would not be able to meet European demand and also meet African demand. So it is an opportunity for us to, we could say we've been saved by the belt, but we need to ramp ourselves up and get our house in order to be able to meet that demand. So for us to just say, yes, it is an opportunity, but what are we doing about it? Being able to really go in there, explore more, drill, discover, produce that gas, but also demand on our partners, whether they're coming from Europe or any place where they're saying, you need to produce and give us gas. What are we asking of them? Don't just give us gas. I saw on the news coming here that the Chancellor of Germany is in Nigeria looking for gas. Put some money in the game. You need to put money so you can produce the gas. And I mean, Oando is sitting right here. They stand on so many potential resources. How many people are going to them and say, let us do joint ventures with you? Same with Caribbean companies. That's how you get a lot of the gas out. It's not just demanding it without investing in it.
Ukraine crisis creates significant opportunity for Africa. You know very well that 5 of the top 30 oil-producing countries in the world are on the African continent. The oil and gas sector contributes something like 53% of the GDP of African countries today. In some countries, actually like Equatorial Guinea, Chad, Gabon, it is a very significant percentage of the GDP, physical revenues to those countries. Again, over the last couple of years, we've seen significant discoveries in both gas and in oil. 18 African countries today are producing oil. They have about 175 million of reserves, barrels of reserves. In terms of gas, over 9% of the world's reserves in gas are in about 20-something African countries, which accumulates to about 18 trillion cubic standard feet meters of gas. So there's a lot of opportunity for the continent. But how do we develop this opportunity to meet our energy resources on the continent? I think that is where the challenge is actually today, in terms of the capacity, not only financially, but also technically, to extract that in a safe way to meet the energy requirements of the continent. And it is for this reason that we at AfriCaribbean Bank, having identified this problem, in partnership with the African Petroleum Producers Organization, are working together to set up a new platform that will be able to meet this challenge. In the next couple of days, the Council of Ministers of APO will actually meet in Cotonou to actually review the establishment agreements of the Africa Energy Bank, which is a new supernatural financial institution that will be set up jointly between AfriCaribbean Bank and the Association of Producing Countries to be able to finance this oil and gas potential that is in the continent. We are also pleased to say we have considered the Caribbean as also part of the scope of operations for this energy bank. So at AfriCaribbean Bank, we actually believe that the African and Caribbean countries should continue to develop their natural resources, particularly in oil and gas, to meet their energy needs. Not only for the potential revenue to the government, but also to power these countries. You know for sure that over 600 million African people go every day without electricity. So we have to take advantage of our resources to power our countries.